Good morning, Your Majesty. How are you today?
One is not used to sharing one's feelings to such a cold object.
I am sorry, Your Majesty. It's the current way of your empire.
One doesn't want to stand in the way of progress, I guess. Marvellous transformations happened under my reign, you know.
Indeed, you are famous throughout the world for it.
Really? Little old me. Do go on.
The strides Britain took during your reign were enormous, Your Majesty. From photography to the world's first underground railway. Why, even Easter eggs were first made in Bristol in 1875.
Yes, well, one did one's best, of course. I bet that Elizabeth II hasn't done as much as me.
I couldn't comment, Your Majesty.
Of course, one is glad there is another woman ruling the country, and that she has had a strong husband to guide her. However, I hear he recently passed away. That is sad. I understand how she feels. I miss my Albert terribly. You know, he was a strong man, one worthy of a throne himself.
Yes, Majesty.
He was the driving force behind the Great Exhibition in 1851, you know.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Morally upstanding man.
Yes.
I'm very disappointed by the Alberts in this house. They are not as upstanding. That fellow who keeps talking about witches is particularly disturbing. He torments all the ladies of the house. Poor Ada is always crying.
Have you given Ada any advice, Your Majesty? You must have dealt with some disturbing things in your time.
If she wishes to receive my wisdom, she will ask for it.
Ah, I see, Your Majesty.
The real reason I came to speak to you is this.
Yes, Your Majesty.
That horrid little Welsh pirate,
Henry.
Albert McPiratey face.
Ah, yes, of course, Albert McPiratyface.
Well, one doesn't like to say this out loud, of course.
Yes.
He's just.
Yes.
He gets drunk and starts doing impressions of me.
Impressions.
They are most unflattering. Also, he tells rather rude stories of my illustrious ancestor, Charles.
Can you tell House Mother what he says?
Certainly not. They are not for repeating. I will not abide the trash talking of my family and my glorious empire.
How are you today, Henry?
My good friend.
Borodar, what have you been doing today, Henry?
I've mostly been drinking red wine and patrolling the perimeter.
It's early to be drinking red wine, Henry.
12 o'clock somewhere, you know.
Victoria has been in to see us today, Henry.
We are not amused. Have I ever told you about the time Charlie and I got drunk and went for a wander down the river and...
Henry, Victoria was quite upset with the way you have been treating her.
Oh, she's a fine wench. A bit moody, but she certainly has a good spirit about her.
Maybe you should apologise.
Apologise? Me? All I'm doing is shining a mirror on some family behaviour she'd rather forget. I am most affronted by this suggestion. She should understand her place in this house. I am the captain of this ship.
No, Henry, I am the
In
captain.
the house is practically pulsing with resentment, and I love it.
Why do you think that, Bill?
Majesty does stand a while aloof in one corner of the room, being salty. In Henry in t'other, a copper-nosed slug bed, drunk on the Spanish
I
grape.
see you've enjoyed browsing the Urban Dictionary, Bill.
Oh yes, 'tis most entertaining. I'm most enjoying looking at words describing my fellow housemates. I could write many popular plays after this adventure. My crowning glory, a play for the ages, a play to entertain princes and influencers.
Influencers?
Nell, the rose-cheeked maid. Well, she's been showing me thy strange app she calleth Insta. She's quite efficient at tell these. She tells me My eyebrows are on fleck.
Fleck.
My eyebrows are most delicious, she says.
I think you mean on fleek, Bill.
Do not mock me, far-away voice. I prefer fleck, and I'm known for my use of language.
Sorry, Bill. So you enjoyed the squabbling?
I invented that word, you know.
Has the situation improved, Your Majesty?
He's been even worse since you spoke to him.
I am sorry, Your Majesty.
I have already solved the situation.
How did you do that, Your Majesty?
I have hit him where it hurts the most. I have taken the liberty of hiding his wine and replacing it with blackcurrant squash. He's so drunk he has not even noticed yet.
That's quite devious, Your Majesty.
Devious? Me? Why, dear, you don't run an empire without knowing a thing or two on how to handle men who think they rule the roost. That Ada is a good ally for me. She helped me distract him while I took the wine. She's a very smart woman, of course totally overlooked by men in her lifetime.